Hello everybody and welcome back, and this is the last part of the footprinting section where we will cover two tools which are basically almost the same, but there are slight differences between them. The first one, it is called dig, so if you just type here on your keyboard dig, you will notice that nothing will happen since we didn't specify any website. But for more information we will just type here dig -- help, which will provide us with the simple usage of this command. Now, you can use any website for this. It is basically not illegal. This is just a tool in order to scan the DNS. Dig basically stands for Domain Internet Grouper, and with it you can basically try one of the attacks, which is called the zone transfer. Now, the zone transfer, it uses the replication for primary and secondary DNS servers in order to be synchronized. Well, basically the secondary server, for example, asks for data for zone from primary server, and primary server answers with copy of database which has IP addresses and name of hosts. Now, the wrong configuration of the DNS can potentially allow anyone to request a zone transfer. So with this tool we will try out the zone transfer on some of the bigger websites, which of course won't work, but on the smaller ones it could possibly be misconfiguration in the DNS so that the zone transfer is enabled. Now, zone transfer is happening over TCP on port 53 and not over UDP at the regular port of 53 for the DNS. So if you just type here diggoogle.com, you will notice that it will give us a bunch of the informations about the google.com. So for example, as we can see, this is the DNS query right here. The NS right here stands for name server, and if we can see that there are 4 of them. The A basically represents the IP address, the 1A stands for the IPv4 IP address, and 4A stands for the IPv6 IP address. We can see also some of the other options, which is the server that it used to query, which is our own router on port 53. As you can see, the usual DNS port will be port 53 over UDP, and my router IP address is 192.168.1.1. We can see that in one query we got one answer, authority 4, which is these 4 servers right here, and additional 9, I believe it is referring to this one right here, even though there is 8 ones. But these are basically the same servers, just with the different IP address. Not different IP address, different format of IP address. This one is, as I said, IPv4, and this one right here is IPv6 IP address. So that is the basic use of the dig command. You can use it to find out some of the information about the domain. But if you, for example, wanted to try out the zone transfer, you can do it like this, for example. So just type here dig, and then you type here AXLFR, which stands for the zone transfer. Now we can use, for example, facebook.com, and we can use the other server, for example, a.ns.facebook.com. And if we type this right here, you will notice that after a few seconds it will basically prompt us with the zone transfer failed, since Facebook didn't misconfigure their DNS, so the zone transfer attack cannot be done on Facebook. Now there may be other smaller sites that could be possibly vulnerable to the zone transfer attack, but we won't be trying to find them at the moment. This is just one of the tools that you can use in order to find out if it is vulnerable. But let me just show you another tool right here, which is called DNS Name, which is also pre-installed in the Kali Linux. So basically it is the same as the dig tool. If we type right here DNS Name and google.com, it will provide us with similar information. As we can see, host's address google.com, which is A, stands for the IPv4, and then it will print us the IP address, the IPv4 address of google.com. And right here it is trying to find out some of the name servers of Google. As we saw before, there should be 4 of them. Now this might take a few seconds, and sometimes it actually just times out. It might time out right now, but we will see in a few seconds. I will come back when this finishes. As we can see, it finished right here, and it says that the google.com NS record query failed. It timed out, so we won't be trying that anymore. I just wanted to show you that you can use that tool as well if you want to. But that would be it for the footprinting section. So let us just recap what we covered. We covered some of the tools that we use to gather as much information as we can about our targets. So for example, these two we covered in order to gather some of the information from their server, from their DNS, and basically we also tried one of the attacks, which is the zone transfer, which of course didn't work on Facebook, but as I said, it might work on some of the other websites. And we also covered the whois. We also covered the Shodan website. We covered the harvester in this lecture, or in the previous lecture, where I showed you that it sometimes can actually work. So we gather some of the emails from it. We also covered the Nikto, which is a big command tool. You should search more about it if you want to. It might be useful later on. So that would be about it for the footprinting section. And with this section, we basically finish the beginner section, and we enter the intermediate section, where we will start off with creating our vulnerable virtual machine, which we will use in order to run our scans and attacks. Since it is not legal for us to attack a machine that we do not own, we will create a virtual machine which we can attack. Now, you might have heard of that virtual machine is called Metasploitable, and I will show you in the next tutorial how to install it. And basically we will start covering one of the bigger tools in the Kali Linux, and one of the tools that you will use a lot, which is called the Nmap. But more about that in the scanning section, and I hope I will see you there. Take care.